What's up, guys? Darkdally here, playing Ghost Recon Wildlands on the PS4, and today I want to continue my guide on the Wildlands Player guide. I want to continue this. Now, we were posting these every single day at 6 p.m. Eastern. I got a little bit backtracked because if you've seen some of my other videos, I'm also playing on PC in Ghost mode. It's taking a lot of time and concentration, not only for the gameplay, but also for all the video editing. As the next one will be up very soon in that series, and that'll be... Yeah, we got all 4 players. I got about 17 gigs of 4 players split screen to sift through. So we're doing these still at 6 p.m., but not necessarily every day. Today I want to have a look at 2 very interesting sniper rifles, which, I've been curious about this. Here we have the SR25, and here we have the M110. Both of them are stock. I want to test them both against one another in a few things, both stock and modified. Now let's have a look at these guys here. Okay, so here we have the SR25, and here we have the M110. You notice something about the two? Yeah, that's right. So first of all, they're both made by Knights Armament, and the M110 is basically the military's adaptation of an upgraded version of the SR25. So they're essentially the same weapon. Essentially, I'd like to test them against one another. Kind of a curious thing. That said, I'll go ahead and give you a sneak idea of what we're doing in the next episode of the series. I want to take these 2 SR25s plus 2 other SR25s, not the jungle. It can't compare against these. In the next video coming up, I'm thinking a little bit far ahead of time, but in the next video, we're going to take all 4 SR25s, the regular SR25, the Liberator, and the other one, I forget what it's called, and the M110, all Knights Armament weapons, and we're going to take those in combat effectiveness against alert enemies. But for right now, today, we're just taking the regular SR25 and the regular M110, and I want to kind of check these out. That's why we're out here on my typical firing range. And the first thing I want to do, they both have the same scope. They do have the same scope, the T5XI. It's a scope I always use in these kinds of tests. Other than that, let's have a look back here again. And if you looked right down there in the kind of the bottom center-ish, you can see they both have the same parts. See, both same parts. Notice the stats are showing different, but we know better than to pay attention to the stats. Let's see how they actually... Yeah, so since they have both the same optics, the first thing I'm going to do is how true are the optics? Because some weapons do fire off to one side or another. It's happened before, like in the case of the M16. If you use the rear sight that it comes with, unfortunately it shoots below where the front sight is. And some weapons shoot off, some scopes shoot off in combination with some weapons. So let's just let's find out. So here's the M110, and it could have been my breath, but it looked to shoot a little high, didn't it? Yeah, that was just my breath. Let's go ahead and swap to the regular SR25, which should be dead on. We've done this before with this weapon. Dead on. No reason to test it further. Suspected. I wiped out the closest guy up there. They just suspect me. If they come in on the runway, we'll take care of them. Let's pull back to 350 meters. That's usually which is at the end of this runway. If you guys haven't seen me test here, the reason I test here is because we have 350 meters of perfectly straight runway. We can go back to that tree back there. There's a place back there we can go back to about 500 meters and still basically be on the same plane, but 350 I feel is really good for testing sniper rifles. And that's because this is about where you really have to start adjusting for bullet drop. So here we have the SR25 and the M110, both with just factory settings. And let's see what they do. So we're going to want to aim. I already got my target set on the wall. We're going to aim for the bottom of the target like we always do. We're starting with the SR25, yeah. And just one single unsuppressed shot with stock parts. It is, actually. I'll point to it. It's at a brick right there. Just the first big brick above the grass. It's quite a bit of bullet drop over 350 meters. But these are not ideal. These are not set up ideal for sniping. When we do the combat efficiency test in the next video, we will have them set up with the parts we're about to put on them here in a second. So the SR25, we saw where it hit. Let's see where the M110 hits. They have a couple different options, or at least one for sure, for modifying them. See how that comes into play. Okay, the M110 actually hit just a little bit higher. It hit a little bit higher on that same break. I could do the test again, but we're not going to have more than like a bullet's worth of variance. I actually do want to do it again because it's like the same rifle with the same parts, but apparently, well, from my knowledge, the M110 is a more advanced and lighter version. So there's the M110 again. Yeah, same exact spot. So the M110 is going to be a little more accurate over range. Let's see how it does against this chopper. It's 2 hits. 3, 4, 5. 5 hits with the M110, and I think we just blocked our shots. Great job, Darkdally. All right, let's get out of the way of this explosion. We'll just shoot from right here, and we'll still be fine. All right. Was that 4 shots? That was just it. The chopper was coming. The opportunity was there. Let's go ahead and modify these to the best they can be at. There's going to be one part indifferent. Okay, not for making them more accurate, but I'll show you when I get there. So first of all, this is going to help with the recoil. This will help us on our combat test. It won't help with our bullet drop test here. But let's go ahead and put the compensated butt stock on the Sr25. And this won't help us here either, but let's go ahead and put this on, and let's just upgrade them all the way. Underbarrel, because it is a semi-automatic, and we should, remind me to test the rate of fire and see if they're on the same level, which they should be. We're going to want the rangefinder. This is going to affect your bullet drop. So will the barrel length. Now, the longest barrel you can get is going to give you better accuracy over range. The Sr25 actually has the ability to go with a short barrel. We don't want that, so we've already got the best barrel we can go with. And for muzzle, this is not going to help us here, but it will help us out tomorrow. We're going to put the compensator V2 on. So now our Sr25 is maxed out with the best we're going to get for both bullet drop accuracy and for efficacy, firing against live targets. I'm going to do the same thing here, except we can't change the butt stock on the M110. We can swap up to a 20-round magazine, and we can also put same grip. We don't want to test the, remind me here in a second, rangefinder. It's what we want. And here we only have one barrel option, which is the one we'd use anyway, and we're going to put the compensator on this guy as well. So now they're set up exactly the same. Let's go ahead and make sure on that. Look at the parts down there in the center. The only difference is Sr25 can use a better butt stock. That's it. Will that affect our recoil? I don't know. Butt stock is one of the largest things affecting recoil. Let's just fire some shots out here into the woods, and let's just listen to the speed at which we can fire, starting with the M110. Sounds about the same to me as the Sr25. Let's see. Yeah, these are semi-auto rifles, but they're not as fast firing as some of the quicker ones, but they sound about the same to me. They do. They sound about the same to me. That said, in real life, they should fire just as fast as anything. And yeah, but in the game, these do have a slower rate of fire than some of the other sniper rifles, such as the G28 and the Mark 14. Not sure why, but let's move on. Now that we're fully modified, we're going to start off with the Sr25 again, taking our shot at 350 meters, fully modified for this. Let's see where that hit. All right, basically that rangefinder, what it did was it moved the Sr25 shot to right there, which is where the M110 was hitting stock. Now I'm interested to try out the M110. With the rangefinder on it, it looks like all logic says it's going to be more accurate, assuming we can get dead on this target. And you can tell from the dust coming up from behind the wall, these are shooting through that wall. Okay, now it's already erased for some reason my Sr25 shot, so I'll go ahead and mark, it was right on that line. I'll go ahead and mark exactly where it was hitting. And you can see that they hit in relation. You can see that the M110 hit a half a break higher modified, just like it did not modified. So they kept their same thing. So now we see that I mean, that's it looks like quite a bit of bullet drop, over 350 meters. Well, these are not the most accurate over-range sniper rifles in the game. I guess you sacrifice some of that for being semi-automatic. So we can see that, even though these are essentially the same rifle, I believe the exact rifle, that the M110 is modified off of, is a more advanced version of the SR25. I believe it's lighter. I don't know a whole lot about it. Funny story about the SR25, which I'm holding right here. This, of course, was a Eugene Stoner weapon. And after he made the AR-10 and was developing the AR-15, when he was developing the AR-15, he wanted a lot of the parts to be compatible with the AR-10 he'd previously designed. That's why it's called the SR25, if you didn't know. Now you know. He just took 10 plus 15 and called it 25. So that's where the name for the SR25 comes from. I think it's kind of a funny story. I believe about 60% of this rifle's parts can be interswapped with an M16 or an AR-15. Anyway, so moving on from today's video. Today's video is a little short. That's because tomorrow's going to be a little longer. I'm going to add on 2 more SR25s. Again, not the jungle, because they can't compete. It's kind of overpowered, as we all know. But we're going to add on 2 more. We're going to do combat efficiency tests. I may do some of this beforehand. I don't think this really matters because they have fixed parts on them. I'll go ahead and show you since we haven't gone on too terribly long today. I'll show you the other ones we'll be testing, which will be the Sr25 Liberator, which we can see right here. And now this one's going to be fixed with a different scope, so we'll have to adjust for that. Still got the standard barrel. It doesn't have so rail cover on the underbarrel. That's not going to affect us a lot. On the rail cover, that is going to affect us. You know, it's efficiently. You know, it's basically going to shoot, you know, half a brick lower, as I would say. You know, it's so a little bit lower. And then the other Sr25 we're going to test is let's see, it's down here. The jungle. Sorry, the machinery, not the jungle. We're not testing the jungle. We'll also be testing this guy tomorrow, the Sr25 machinery. You can already see just by looking at it, no rail attachments whatsoever, and short magazine ACOG scope. I expect the M110 to still perform the best. But that said, tomorrow's test is going to be less about accuracy and more about what takes down targets and such the quickest. And that is why I like to do that test. It takes everything into consideration. Now, no, I'm not the best player. No, but it's the same player doing the same test the same way against the same enemies. And that, you know, that's science right there. All right, so thanks so much for watching, guys. I wanted to compare these two, the Sr25 and the M110, because they are effectively basically the same weapon. They're both made by Knights Armament. The M110 is supplied for the military and used even in conflicts today around the world. It's our military's choice, one of our military's choice of sniper rifles. In fact, thinking back, I believe you can see it in the TV series Shooter, starring Ryan Felipe. I believe that's an M110 sniper rifle that he's using. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that's used from what, 2008 until current. It's the M110 is still our armed forces, one of our main sniper rifles. All right, guys, thanks so much for watching. I hope I got all my information and everything right. I do know what I got right was what we showed here because we saw physical proof. Be sure to stay tuned to these episodes, as we'll be doing these still 6 p.m. Eastern, just not necessarily every day, because I'm also working on the ghost mode footage that we're doing on PC. Guys, thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to check for a link for the entire playlist to this in the description below. Also in the description below are links to my Patreon and PayPal, where you can make donations to help to support the channel. Let's try the Sr25 out on this guy. Okay, I missed the first 2 shots. That shot I hit. We're at the back up, so that's 1 shot. And I'm having bad luck even getting my scope on this guy. My aiming sensitivity is a little lower. There's 3, there's 4. Okay, yeah, my aiming sensitivity is turned down a little bit so I can do tests like this. All right, so they both took 4 to destroy that chopper. We'll see how things go tomorrow when we get to combat. All right, guys, so you can check those links in the description below. Please be sure to like and subscribe to the channel and the video. I really like that. And I also like to see comments, and I try to answer as many as I can. All right, guys, thanks so much for watching. I'm Darkdally, and I'll catch you in the next episode of Recon Wildlands Player Guide.